GameMasters here. I'm drinking something made from the hide of a gold dragon. I'm reading a book made from the hide of a metallic dragon. Today we're going to talk the Chromatic Greatwyrm. The Chromatic Greatwyrm has survived over 1,200 years of mortal life before it has turned into what is considered to be a greatworm. These guys are almost where Tiamat is in regards to power. When I refer to chromatic dragons or chromatic greatwyrms, I'm referring to your black dragons, white dragons, red dragons, blue dragons, or green dragons. The chromatic dragon, chromatic greatwyrm, is among one of the most intelligent out there. Generally, when a dragon becomes of greatwyrm status, it has absorbed its echoes across the different worlds of the material plane. How it's done that could be through nefarious means, could be through a meeting of minds. This even states that chromatic greatwyrms exceed even ancient dragons as far as power and size, that the energy of their breath weapon courses over their bodies and glows under their scales, and elemental forces rage around them when they exert their wrath. The cool part about them is they don't have to eat or drink. Their hoards, their massive piles of gold and magic items kind of magically sustains them. So you can see these guys have a base hit point of 533. They are of gargantuan size. They have a strength of 30, dexterity of 14, constitution of 30, intelligence is 21, wisdom is 20, charisma is 26. They come in at a challenge rating of 27. And like the other two greatwyrms, this one has an awakening called Chromatic Awakening. If the greatwyrm would be reduced to 0 hit points, its current hit point total instead resets to 425 hit points. It recharges its breath weapon, and it regains any expended uses of legendary resistance. Legendary resistance means if the greatwyrm fails a save, it can choose to succeed instead. It can do that 4 times a day. Additionally, the greatwyrm can now use the options in the mythic action section, I'll show you that in a second, for 1 hour. Award a party an additional 105,000 experience for a total of 210,000 experience overall for defeating the greatwyrm after its chromatic awakening activates. So the mythic actions that it can use, if the greatwyrm's chromatic awakening trait has activated in the last hour, it can use the options below as legendary actions, and I'll explain the legendary actions in just a moment too. Bite. The greatwyrm can make 1 bite attack. Chromatic flare. The greatwyrm flares with elemental energy. Each creature in a 60-foot radius sphere centered on the greatwyrm must succeed a DC 26 dexterity saving throw or take 22 damage of a type determined by the greatwyrm's kind. Acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. This guy can take 3 legendary actions, choosing from one of these. Attack, it can make a 1 claw or tail attack. Wing attack, it basically beats its wings, and we've seen this same attack on the other greatwyrms as well. This one each creature within 30 feet must succeed on a DC 26 dexterity saving throw or take 17 bludgeoning damage and be knocked prone. And then it has Arcane Spear, which costs 3 actions. The greatwyrm creates 4 spears of magical force. Each spear hits a creature of the greatwyrm's choice it can see within 120 feet of it, dealing 12 1d8 plus 8 force damage to its target, then disappears. And of course it has, for actions, it's got its multi-attack, bite, claw, tail attack, but the breath weapon. This is what y'all want to see. The breath weapon. The greatwyrm exhales a blast of energy in a 300-foot cone. Each creature in that area must make a DC 26 dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes 78 damage of a type determined by the greatwyrm's kind. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much damage. So that leaves one final question. In a battle of greatwyrms between chromatic, gem, and metallic, which one do you think would win in an all-out battle? If you had 3, and I realize there are multiple types that there could be sapphires, there could be rubies, there could be emerald, as far as gem dragons go. Chromatic, of course, there could be the black dragon, red dragon, white dragon, etc. And metallic, of course, there's a variety of those as well. But let's assume that just for the base stats that we found in here, which do you think would actually win in a fight to the death? Let me know in the comments below. And until next our paths cross, may you succeed on a DC 26 dexterity saving throw.